we're alive. There we go. We're not live, Mike. We're starting a video. Here we are again, another one of these one take wonder videos I'm gonna do. No edits. Is this bright enough, by the way? If the key light's bright enough. Might be too bright, actually. Not too bad. What do you think? Mike, what are you doing? We've started the video, is what we're doing. Every Wednesday or Thursday, I like to stop in here and just kind of give you, I don't know, a little bit of a rundown of what I'm doing. We'll just do a little kind of a casual chat. The cat comes in here from time to time. I've got this camera hooked up that will pop over and show you if she pops into the picture. Anyway, today's video or this evening's video is going to be, first of all, it's brought to you by Neepy Time Tea. It's actually called that. I think. Just in a custom mug that I designed from one of my roaming cats. Again, I think I've talked about this one. This one's called Finn, is its name. Do not follow where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. Ralph Waldo Emerson. And is that going to be the thumbnail? I don't know. What do you think? You're a diehard fan if you're still here, because 99% of people that click on this video are gone by now. Like, who is this clown? I got more important things to do. So, yeah, here we are. I'm going to structure this entire video around, a channel with a week, which is what I do every week. I kind of talk about a channel. And I hear the cat meowing in the background. If she comes in, we'll say hi to her. I'm going to skip right to George Buzzio's cue. So, before we do that, let me just back up for a second. I met George on a project that I worked with my friend Frank on. It was a documentary on a man named Kim Kahana. And you can find it on Amazon. Actually, it's Kim Kahana, the man that saved Hollywood. I believe we called it that. I have some on my channel. I have a whole playlist, I think 20 episodes long, of us making the documentary. And then I think I have links to the Amazon video in those. I'll do a link in this video as well. Anyway, we would have never started that project if it wasn't for George Buzzio. And he did, I'll share his channel in a second. George did an interview with Mr. Kahana, who has since unfortunately passed away. He is a stunt performer. He was 92 years old, I think, when we started the project. And George had interviewed him and was talking to me and Frank and said that he thought he was a great character for us to maybe do a deeper dive into. And that's what we did. And it ended up being a documentary. It was an hour and a half long. And I've since then worked with George on developing some pitch decks for some other things we're interested in working on. And I want to share those because George recently, and I say recently, within the last couple of weeks, shared with me or with Frank and I some show posters that he created for these films that we're pitching. And it really, once I looked at them, I was like, it really kind of energized me into getting back into creating some more stories, whether they're stories with him and Frank, or whether they're just, AI projects that I'm going to put together on my own. And it really just started me kind of creatively going through some of my ideas, putting my own ideas into a poster form, doing some storyboards, which I'll show you. I just want to kind of tease up some of the things I'm working on. And I think in some of these future Wednesday videos, I want to start doing a deeper dive into where I am in the development, share some of the things I'm learning, and just kind of do a real current update on that journey. When I originally started this plan of doing a video every Wednesday, it was going to be relative to my 50 at 60 videos, and I'm already kind of taking a little bit of a detour in what I want to share, and that is some of the things I'm learning, and have this be a little bit of a popcorn trail that I'm leaving, I guess, if that makes sense. And if you're still here, we're going to continue. Hold on a second. I wanted these to be a little bit more casual. I hope they are. Anyway, so this is George's channel. I will tag him and link him in the description. He had a show called Buzz Talk Live, and I think he started it right after COVID because he's in the live video events world. And when COVID hit, all of our jobs were basically, well, non-existent for probably the better part of a year before the industry started to pick back up. And that's when I worked with Frank on the Country House, or worked with Frank on the Country House, and just we all started doing different things. I think we closed a few doors, opened up some other ones. That's a whole other story. So let's go over to George's channel. This I've queued up a live video, or a video that he created when he interviewed Mr. K, and I'm just going to play a little bit of that, and then I'll come back on the other side with I'll play the teaser to our film after that, and then I'll see you full screen after all that. Sorry for the echo, but this was from a film he was in, or a show, Danger Island.
That was quite a nice show.
Oh my God! You were on that for what, 2 seasons of
Yeah, we did that in Acapulco.
Acapulco? Yeah, and you played the part of Chongo. Now, Chongo, describe the character that you played.
Well, it wasn't the character. I made the character. When Hanna-Barbera called in people, they wanted them to read a script and
Right.
play the part of kind of like a monkey. And I got called to do it, but I was doing another show, so I wouldn't get in. And a friend of mine, a stuntman, said, "Well, at lunchtime, I'll drive you." So I went down there and they gave me a script. And since I don't read good and everything, I jumped on Hanna-Barbera's desk, took the script, threw it in the air, did a backflip off of it, and walked out. Said, "Thank you."
Oh my God!
And the next day I got a call saying, "Hey, you got the
You
part."
got the part. Well, let's see you.
So that story that he told was in our documentary that we did. And again, it's hard to watch this now. I mean, I watch it with a smile because he was a great storyteller, and he was a great guy that gave Frank and I, certainly, and George as well, purpose for, and I know I've talked about that on this channel before. It just gave me purpose for a couple of years, putting together that documentary. And I learned so much about how to edit and how to, well, just everything. And I didn't realize it was going to hit me again as I put this list together to share George's video. I just wanted to share a little clip of Kim, and God, it just hit me like a ton of bricks again because he's not here. In that background where he's at, we talked to him there. We interviewed. He did a whole thing with the knives, and we were up at his house a few different times. We shot some scenes there, and he worked with us on putting these vignettes together, and I think he had so much fun. It was like a I don't know. I don't want to put I don't know. I don't even know how to say it, but I miss that, and I'm grateful for that opportunity we had. So anyway, moving on. This is a teaser that I put together for the documentary. I'll just play that real quick. So I was kind of the director of photography on that whole project. I did the editing, I did the voiceover, um, filmed most of the scenes. I had a couple of other assistant camera ops a couple of times, and yeah, it was so much fun, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. Yeah. So anyway, so getting back to the channel of the week, obviously it's George's here and his channel Buzz Talk Live. But he shared this is a movie poster he created for a project. He's started a company, Global Arts, which you can see here. Um, and between him and a bunch of other people, we're pitching these projects to get them funded, to get them started, and they're not going to be created with AI. They're real productions that are going to obviously require backing. We want real talent in them, real animators using various tools. But I was very impressed with not only that poster he did, but this one here called Stunt, which is essentially a continuation of some of the stories of some of the stunt performers that were part of Kim Kahana's school, essentially. Not to boil that down too simply, but there's a lot of stories and that Frank has written that's what Stunt's all about. It's kind of a continuation, but more stories. And then The Come at Dawn is a really unique one. I was talking to Frank about that today. It's a story of a conversation he had with his dad about his involvement in the Korean War. He recorded him with a flip phone, and a lot of the story is based on that conversation he had with him. And there's a whole script, and we're ready to shoot. We've got some design visuals together, and again, the poster that George created was just like again, it was the cat's down below the desk, by the way. We'll go to her later. It was just a creative shot in the arm for me. And so let me just introduce a few things I'm working on as a result of exactly what George inspired me to create. This one here is a poster that I did. I actually finished this. I may dive deep into this one next week and share it. It's a story called The Grand Crustacean, and it's Frank's story about one man's effort to save wine centuries ago. It's a fictitious story, and it's a simple one, but the style was done with these claymation, all AI, all generated, and like a little track that I did, and special effects I did, sounds and that kind of stuff. Edited the whole project, and for a nice short, I think for a nice short film, it's a great start into learning how to use some of these new tools that are out there. Another one, which is mine, is The Mad Violinist. The name of it's Coins for Silence, and it's based on a true event that I used to experience down here, down in Florida, walking on Clematis Street, and there was a violinist that, well, he never really played. You would get real close to him, and he would just start quite literally attacking the violin and making these strange noises. And then if you didn't tip him, once you got like 1 minute past him, 5 feet past him, he would just, you'd hear just a sharp, and he would stop playing. And then he would look at you and like grunt and like argue with you that you didn't tip. And I always felt weird, and I eventually went to the other side of the street because I just didn't want to be around him. And then eventually, I don't know what happened to him. And anyway, so I put together a little story for that, and I'm kind of working on some of the visuals for that right now. But decided to do a movie poster for an unfinished project, in addition to a character called Remy Laurent that Frank and I have developed. And this short film, um, well, I did a trailer and then I did a short piece that could be the beginning of the film, like a flashback. And I'll share that in one of these Wednesdays coming up. But today, I just wanted to share all the posters that I have working on. Also, I have a few inspirational boards, as you could see here. The Marquette, which is the boat. And these are visual boards to get the tone of the film, the characters, the textures. Another project I have started putting together is Maple Cove Pond, which is a play on, basically, it's a creation of this vision I got in my mind of this world around a pond that is based on where my ex-wife lives. And there's Maple in the name of where she lives, but I like the word cove because I didn't want a round pond. And I guess the gag is when you, not the gag, but when you pull up and look down on this lake, it actually is in the shape of a maple leaf. But there's a lot of coves. And it's a mixture of wildlife that live there. There are specific animals that are all based on animals that actually live up around her pond here in Florida. And then all of these dogs and cats. Well, there's no cats in the poster. I have some cats in the character boards. And they're part of the story. So these are all neighborhood dogs that get walked on a leash. And so it's a mixture. It's stories that are meant for children that are derived upon interactions of the wildlife with the domesticated animals, basically. And then another project I have in the works is built on my roaming cats collection. And these specifically are cats that have found a way home through rescues and cat cafes. We'll just leave it at that because I'm still developing that. I know how the story arc goes. I just don't want to talk too much about that because I haven't really developed the whole thing yet. What's the next one? Oh, the next one here that I have, and these are all ideas I've had that I got to be honest with you. I literally printed these pictures up and I have them on my whiteboard with a mood board underneath each one, and then a place for me to leave notes on where I am in the development of either the characters, the stories, the edit, the concepts. And I have a lot of things going on. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm really interested in some of these new tools that are out there to help you tell stories. And I think that's what this whole video is about, is just me talking about that, spitting it out to the world, if you would. So anyway, Commander Salamander is based on a funny name that I came up with, but it was a reaction to something that happened when I was traveling. And there's a video in my stream where I arrived on the scene shortly after somebody had taken a fall off of a cliff, and they passed away. It was a young girl, it was like in her 20s, and she was hiking, and she got off of the path, and there was a later on I saw this news clip. They were interviewing one of the rangers or the police, and they were talking about how important it is to stay on the trails and listen to the rangers, and it inspired me to create some stories based on that, because people might I saw this story arc as well, as a teaching moment, but it starts out that this little salamander, who is a little bigger in his mind than what he is physically, has all these ideas, and nobody seems to be listening to him until they realize he was right. And there's something happens, and then he saves the day, and then they support him at the end. And they're little micro stories. I think they're little teaching moments that could be used to teach, an elementary school child or somebody. Um, so I'm still developing that, but Commander Salamander, look for more of that. And then while I was at the posters, I just went back. I did a 50 at 61 because, as you know, I'm traveling or creating these travel stories of going to all 50 states in one year, the year I turned 60. Now, I did this one here that looks nothing like me. So I had another one created, and that's how that came out, based on a ridiculous scarf I used to wear when I was traveling, and my cat, Penny, who is under the desk for now. And then in addition to that, I created another one for my Chasing Light and Story, which is the next chapter of 50 at 60, which is essentially going out and hitting all 50 states. No, it's not. It's going out and hitting all 63 national parks and trying to tell more stories related to lighting and those who, I don't know. I haven't figured out who the stories are going to be about. Maybe park rangers, maybe people who work for the parks, maybe creatives, or people making a pivot moment in their life. Generally, just basically people who have an interesting story to tell. So that's all I got. It's a 20-minute ramble of me just showing you my show posters. I just want to kind of tee this up because I'm going to be talking a little bit more about all of this in the coming weeks. And I think I'm going to try to narrow it down maybe to like one of these particular stories. Maybe I'll tell you where I am in that, show you some of the tools I'm using, give you some updates. And yeah, that's the plan. Anyway, before I cut out of here, you want to see the cat? Her name is Penny. And we're gonna activate this camera now. Stand by. Hey, Penny. Say hi to the folks. That didn't go too well, did it? I don't know if I'm going to post this video. If I do, you'll see it. If not, I'll save it and I'll do a fresh one tomorrow when I'm a little more awake. It's a little late now. It's like 11:30 at night. Anyway, hopefully this is a good one or a watchable one. I'll see you next week. Oh, and thanks for being here.